I think we can get started. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. Hi everyone, welcome to the Ballerina community call. Thank you for being here. I'm Sam and I'll be your moderator today. So before we get started with the call, I just want to take you through some points on how you can kind of engage with the Ballerina community. So first of all, I'll be sending all of these important links and also a link to the slide deck right after I do this intro. So I'll be sending it on the YouTube chat and the Zoom chat as well. So here, where we kind of have all the information about our community is in this repo, Ballerina platform/community. So if you want to take a look at any of the past community calls, it's in this folder. We have all the recordings, the slides, and any resources that we have used during the call. Yeah, so different ways that you can engage with our community. We have a Slack channel of over 1,000 users, and our development team is really active on this channel. So if you do join this channel, if you have any questions, do join the channel and kind of ask any questions that you have, and the team gets back pretty quickly. We also have a Google group where we have development discussions that you can join as well. And both of these channels have updates on language features and things like that. If you have questions, another way you can kind of ask them is through Stack Overflow using that Ballerina tag. So those are the different ways you can kind of get in touch with our development team. We also have a Twitter handle at Ballerinalang. We send language updates on events that we're speaking at, and any content that we publish on this Twitter handle. So do follow us there as well. And also we have a newsletter that we send out periodically. So you can, I'll send all of these links to you guys so you have them. So this link has all the past newsletters that we've done, and we've done on topics like gRPC, serverless, microservices, and things like that. So do subscribe to the newsletter, and then we'll send curated content right to your inbox. So those are a few ways that you can engage with our community. And of course, we have the community call. I'll give you a brief about that in a bit when I get to the slides. And also, just a few points on how to contribute to the community. So you can write content or record yourself speaking about Ballerina. You can even speak at meetups, conferences, and even organize any of your events, any of your own events as well. And if you are organizing any of your own events, then do contact us at contact@ballerina.io, and we are happy to help with anything regarding technical resources and things like swag and logistics and things. Wherever we can, we are happy to help you. You can also contribute to the language. So you can report an issue, you can publish a module on Ballerina Central, or you can even contribute to the source code itself. And of course, you can go to our GitHub repo, which is Ballerina platform/Ballerinalang, and star it. So if you have done any of these contributions, we have a form here that you can fill in. We are happy to promote any of your content and kind of get in touch if you have contributed to Ballerina in any way, and maybe even send you some swag that we have, like a t-shirt or something. So do fill in this form if you have done any of these things, and we will be in touch with you. Okay, so going back to the session. Okay, so today our team will be presenting about Ballerina Shell and the Ballerina debugging tool. So Sunera and Nipuna are here with us today to speak about that. But just before we get started, I just want to give you a quick overview of the community call. So this is a monthly meeting. And the structure is basically people from our team will go through a feature explanation and do a live demo of that feature. And then we open it up for a discussion. So if you're on YouTube chat, you can send in your, if you're on YouTube Live, you can send in your questions on the chat. But if you're on Zoom, we do encourage you to kind of unmute yourself and ask questions and have a like a discussion with the team. So we do encourage that, but you can send in your questions through chat as well. That's fine. So this session will be recorded, and we'll be publishing the recording and the slides on our YouTube channel, which is Ballerinalang. So again, I'll be sending the slide deck to you in the chat right after this, so you can take a look at all of the links that are in it. So for the community call, we have this working doc, which basically has all the information about our past calls and upcoming calls, and any relevant links in that as well. Then we have a notify me form. So if you haven't already done this and you want to be notified of future calls, then you can fill this in and we'll make sure that you're added to the calendar invite. And we have a topic suggestion form as well. So if you want to be involved in the community call, if you have maybe some small demo that you worked on with Ballerina that you want to present, or if you want to suggest a topic that we should be talking about in future calls, then you can fill in this form as well. Okay, so next, a quick update on what's happening with the language. We released Alpha 3 on March 20th, and Alpha 4 will be releasing on March 31st. If you do want to download the latest version, you can download it here. If you already have the language downloaded, you can use the update tool. The commands to update it will be on this page as well. And any new features that we have added into these releases, you can take a look in our release note link here. So that's about it from me. So today, as I mentioned, our team will be talking about Ballerina Shell and the Ballerina debugging tool. First, we have Sunera here with us. Thank you so much, Sunera, for joining us today. Yeah, over to you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please wait. Hope you can see the screen. Okay, in this session, we will first do an overview of Ballerina Shell. So we will discuss what is it, and then we'll move on to some demonstration of few use cases. So moving on to what is Ballerina Shell. Ballerina Shell is, simply speaking, a REPL for Ballerina, similar to JShell or Python REPL or JavaScript console. It runs an interactive session with Ballerina where you can try out code snippets and you can try out things easily and iteratively. So you can use this tool to, let's say, try out code snippets, explore out language features, and maybe even to quickly prototype things. For example, let's say you are working with Ballerina and you want to debug something or check new language feature, and you want to, like, if you go in the old way, what you have to do is create a file and add the code there and recompile it and run it again and again. But with Ballerina Shell or any REPL tool for that matter, you can actually run an interactive session where you can explore the language and see what works and see what doesn't work in a trial and error manner. So you can learn many things using this kind of trial and error way. And in the Ballerina Shell, that's what we are urging you to do. And okay. And I would also like to mention that Ballerina Shell will be is available after Swan Lake Alpha 1. So it is, if you have already have the latest version, you will also have the Ballerina Shell in your distribution as well. So let's move on to starting and exiting. How to start Ballerina Shell session and how you can use it. You can, if you already have Ballerina installed, what you have to do is simply type Bal shell in the command line or terminal, and Ballerina shell will turn on, and you can type /exit or Control D key commands to exit out of it. within the shell, you can evaluate expressions, run statements, create variables, use them, reassign them, and create functions, classes, do anything. And even you can add imports as well. So you can test out other external modules in the Ballerina shell as well. And if something goes wrong, Ballerina shell will show the error. So you can edit the code snippet that went wrong and re-evaluate everything and continue where you left off. So I hope you got an overview idea of what Ballerina shell is, and I'll explain these things more when we do the demo. So let's move on to the demo now. Okay. As I said before, you can start Ballerina shell by simply typing bash shell command. It will start the Ballerina shell interactive session, and you can use it to iterate, like evaluate things, and you can use it to like see your expression evaluation and results. So let's say you want to, like, for example, I'll type in hello over here as a string. Here you can see the result comes. It's basically the string I gave, and like this you can actually give any expression and see the results within the shell iteratively. So, for example, you can do some numeric evaluation like this, or even some small things like this. So I'll do an import here. So I will add Ballerina IO import. It will import the IO module, so I can use the prefix and use it to let's say print hello world. Yeah. Also, you have, like, I have to mention that you can also use any kind of constructor, like for example, if you want to use a if statement or a loop, you can also do that as well. So for example, I will write a for each loop here. I will print out here. So it's here. Yeah. Here you can see it will like run the loop and like output the result. Similarly, you can use while loop, so if so, anything like that. Now let's move on to creating variables. In Ballerina shell, as I showed you, like you can run statements and expression, but the real work, like you can really use it when you use functions and variables and so that. So creating variables is very easy, but you can use the same syntax you will use in, let's say, in Ballerina normal file as well. So you can use var keyword, or you can also explicitly state the type. But if you use the var keyword, you can do so like this. But I also like to mention that in Ballerina shell, you always have to give an initialize value. So when you define a variable, you have to mention its initial value in Ballerina shell. So I'll create a variable name b, and I'll also create a variable name b with the string value. Now you can actually use these variables, like you can use this variable in expression, functions, or anywhere you like. And another thing is in Ballerina shell, you can always override, like not override, like you can redeclare variables. Like here I have defined a string variable name p, but if I want, I can redeclare it as an integer. And if you haven't used this variable in a function or somewhere else, a shell will allow you to redeclare it. This is mainly to allow you to quickly prototype things, quickly iterate to. So now if I see the p value, it is 12. And I have to also mention that in Ballerina shell, you can see all the internal commands. For example, all the internal commands that you can use using /shell. And here you can see we have to exit, you have to type /exit. You can use the current variables, using /was and /dclns will list the defined module level declaration. So if I type /was here, you can see the two variables that I defined earlier will show up here. If I do /dclns, nothing will show up because I didn't do any function declaration. But if I had done anything like that, it will also show up here. So yeah, now let's define a function. I will define a function here, which will return the integer addition. Here I will return the by here I didn't specify the return type, so it is an error. So it's the Ballerina shell. If you run across some errors like this, Ballerina shell will show you the error, and you can like fix it and run it again. So for example, you can in here you can use arrow keys to browse to the previous statements you entered, and you can edit the statement and resubmit. And now you can function as you do like in other and let's say you ran into some runtime errors, they will also show up here. Like you can see that if I gave 10.0, it will show it rate cost than runtime error, but shell will not crash. So you can always continue your work, and you can, if there's an error, you can fix it and quickly iterate. Okay, and we can exit the shell by using /exit command. Now, now I will move on to the second phase of this demo, where I will use HTTP module to send a GET request and view the result and show you a sample use case of how we can use the shell to say explore a module, something like that. So as previous, I can start the shell by shell command. And since I am testing with the HTTP module, I have imported. Okay, now I will create a client endpoint. Here, I will use the Postman, like Postman Echo server, so it will give me the request I send back, so I can like show you that it works as a test server. Yeah, and this will now the endpoint is here. So if I view that, it is the object. So I can also now say, if I want to, I can send the GET request. Let's say yeah. If I yeah, now the request will go, and yeah, the result, the response came. Now if I want to like explore this value, what I want to do is assign this into a variable. I can either edit the previous snippet and add like a variable declaration here, but also I can also do another thing where in Ballerina shell there is a special variable, last variable, underscore underscore last underscore underscore, that will always refer to the previous expression evaluation result. So here it will this variable will result in always this one. So I can assign this variable instead. So now this will be that variable, and if I check the type of this, I can see that it's a response. Now now let's assign into a response variable. I will have to cast it because the response, this value is also a type of error, so I have to cast it into a specific type. Here now I have the response value, and now I can do something like response.get JSON payload, which will give me back the JSON payload of the response, and you can see it gives me the JSON value that this certain. And if I want to, I can similarly I can add, let's say, JSON, assign this to a JSON variable, and I can do anything now I want, and test things out how they work. Yeah, that's the basic idea of how you can use shell to like learn how Ballerina shell works, like Ballerina module works. Like if you go to Ballerina by example, and you can actually use shell to run them and see how they work, and you can actually learn the language by trial and error. Before I end off, I would also like to mention another feature in Ballerina shell, which is file continuation. Let's say you have a file already created which contains contains some functions you have defined already, and you want to continue the shell from that point onwards. So you want, for example, yeah, I have a main.bal file. It has some simple functions, but let's say you have a file already created and you want to run the shell from there on. So you can do that easily by bal shell, and you can give the parameter as file argument. And when you do that, shell will start with the file loaded. So for example, if I do /was here, you can see the variable is already there. And if I do /dpl, then which will show the function declaration and other things that are loaded, will show there are two functions name, get under name and get under name. So I can use them as well. Yeah. Likewise, you can play with like already created file or already created, let's say, you can test functions you have written. You can check if something works or something doesn't work. You can easily iterate to these things using Ballerina shell. So yeah, that's it for the demonstration. I hope you got an understanding, and if there are any questions, I think you can ask at the end of this session. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Sunera. That was great. Yeah, again, the questions we'll take at the end of the session. So if you do have any questions, just send them in. And again, you can unmute and kind of ask the questions later on as well. Next, we have Nipuna, who'll be talking about the Ballerina debugging tool. Thank you, Nipuna, for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you, Sam. So I'll share the screen. Hope you can see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Nipuna Ranasinghe from the Ballerina developer tooling team. And today I'll be presenting a basic introduction and a quick tour on the Ballerina debugger tool in VS Code and also its capabilities. So therefore, if you're someone who's new to Ballerina platform and its tooling, this session will be helpful for you to understand the concept behind and also the features that we currently have in our Ballerina debugger. Okay, so I'm quite sure that every developer in here, including me, has used logs and print statement while trying to troubleshoot runtime issues in your code. But when working with more complex applications and systems, it comes to a point where we need something more than that. And that's where these dedicated debugging tools comes to the rescue. Usually the debugger is a program which is capable of simulating or running a target program, or it can even attach to a running program, and it should be able to stop and resume the program execution at any given state. And it also gives the control to the developer to set breakpoints, condition where the execution process, and also to view every state value and information, and also to step throughout the program, either line by line or by instruction at a time. So, so when it comes to the Ballerina debugging tool for VS Code, so we have introduced this tool with the JBallerina 1.0 version as an experimental feature, and now we have a more enhanced and stable debugging support ready for the upcoming Ballerina 7 release. So one important point that I need to mention here is that our debugging tool comes inbuilt with the Ballerina language extension. So you don't need to install it explicitly as a separate extension like for some other languages. So you can use the Ballerina debugging tool to debug Ballerina programs with either main function endpoints or service endpoints. Also, you can debug Ballerina tests, and even you can attach to running Ballerina programs, which is also called remote debugging. And also, you are able to add conventional or conditional breakpoints in your program, and you are able to step throughout your program. You can either step in, step out, or step out, which I'll be explaining later. And also you're able to view the Ballerina strand and call stack information, as well as Ballerina variable values. And also you have the capability to evaluate Ballerina expression values, which is a preview feature that we'll be introducing with the Ballerina Swan Lake. So I will try to cover all these features as much as possible during the demo that I'll be doing next. So let me share the VS Code screen. Hope you can see my VS Code screen. So, so as the first sample, we have a simple Ballerina program with the main function. When debugging, to debug a simple Ballerina program with the main function, you can just go to the Run tab in the VS Code, and you can select Start Debugging. So here you have to choose the debugging environment. So as expected, you should choose the Ballerina debug environment. So it will start the debug automatically, and yeah. So one thing I need to mention is that for this demo, I'll be using the latest Ballerina Swan Lake release, which is Swan Lake Alpha 3, and the VS Code plugin with the same version. So as you can see, now we are having the program output in the debug console, and so we are having an error saying we have insufficient argument to call the main function. So as you can see, in this main function, we have this parameter. So actually, we have two required parameters and one defaultable parameter. So in Ballerina, the main function is just like another public function. So you can have multiple parameters passed to your main function. So here we have a requirement to pass the program argument to this particular program. So this is where we need some kind of configurations, debugger-based configurations to when running your program. So for that, you have to go to this run tab in the left side, and here you can select the option to create a launch JSON file. So after choosing, you have to choose the Ballerina environment. Yeah. Now as you can see, this file is auto-generated, and here we have three main configurations for Ballerina debugging. So one is this Ballerina debug is option to debug Ballerina programs, and the second option is specifically for debug Ballerina test, and the third configuration is to remote debug your programs. So for this sample, for this particular program, we need to execute this configuration. So as you can see in the program, you have to pass the name and age as required parameters. So in the configuration, we have a property called script arguments. So here you can pass all the program argument as an array. So I'll be adding the name and the age. So after completing the so like that, you have a different set of arguments, set of properties which are supported in debugger. Like you can pass command option as an array to the Ballerina program that's running underneath, and you can even set environment variables as a map, which will be added to the environment that the program will be running. So for this particular example, we only need this script argument. So now we can try to run. So here we have to choose the Ballerina debug option, and we can run the program again. You can see the program output in here. Yeah, now you can see that we have a debug hit inside the main function as expected, and also we have this call stack and variable view, which I'll be explaining later. So this is simply how you can run debug on a simple Ballerina program. So next, I'll be in the next example, I'll be explaining how you can debug a Ballerina service and test, and as well as how to do the remote debugging. Let's switch to the next example. So in my second example, we have a Ballerina service, actually a HTTP service, which is a load balancer, and we have these 3 additional services which are mocked and will be called by the load balancer. So in here we have a default resource function that will be called when we invoke this particular service and the resource. So to debug this function, I can go to the debug tab, and the same way we have to create a JSON file, and after that you can choose this you can go back to the file and you can choose this Ballerina debug option. So basically the configuration is same for programs with the Ballerina main functions as well as Ballerina services. So the program is running, and yeah, now we can see that the HTTP services are up and running. So I will switch to a terminal and do a simple curl command to we will send a simple GET request. As you can see, the port of the load balance service is 9090, and the resource path would be LB. Yeah, so after invoking the curl command, we are getting a debug hit inside the resource function. Yeah, here you can in the top view you have this option to navigate through your program. So in here we have the continue option to continue to the next breakpoint, and similarly we have a step over command, so which will navigate to the next immediate line in your program. So we have this step into command which will be useful when we try to debug function invocations and situations like that. Yeah, we can simply go inside the function invocation, and similarly we have this step out. So to use if you are already in a function invocation and need to go back to the caller function. So so I have configured debug point in each resource function inside these mock services. So if I try to continue to the next breakpoint, we should be getting a debug hit inside the inside one of the targets, as we have mentioned in the load balancer endpoint. So if I continue the program further, yeah, in the terminal we are getting the response from the server. So next, I will try to debug try to show how to debug the test resources. So for that, in the same example, I have written some tests in this test folder. as you can see, here we have an HTTP client endpoint, and it's simply invoking an get request in this load balance endpoint. So I have already added breakpoint to the test function. So we to debug the test function, we just have to go to the debug view, and we have to choose the option this Ballerina test, and after selecting, and we can run, and the debug console will show us the output. As you can see now, we are having logs to see the tests are running. Yeah, yeah, as expected, we are having debug it inside this particular test function. So so one thing you should notice is that we are able to debug both the test resources as well as the program resources using this Ballerina test configuration. So as we are simply invoking the resource of this load balance service, so ideally we should, and since I have already configured breakpoint inside the program, we should, if I continue this execution, we should get a debug hit inside this service as well. So yeah, that's the expected behavior. Um, yeah, so that's how you debug Ballerina services in your application. Uh, so apart from running the Ballerina program using the debug itself, uh, we can use the VS Code debugger tool to attach to any running Ballerina programs. So next I will be showing how to debug the exact same scenario using remote debugging. Uh, so for that, we have to start our the Ballerina application first. So for that, we need to execute the particular Ballerina command. So the command would be bal run, and since we are already inside this inside our Ballerina package, we don't need to explicitly define the package name or anything. So the command would be Ballerina run, and then we have to define our debugging option. So the flag would be minus minus debug, and the port that we wish to connect. So we can run the program. Yeah, as you can see, we are having a log saying listening for the address of port 5005. So now we should be able to connect to this program. For that, we need to select this Ballerina remote configuration, and after running the configuration, um, yeah, in the debug log, we are having output saying connected to the target VM. And if we switch back to the terminal, we can see that the program is execution is resumed, and now the services are up and running. So I will get a new terminal and try to uh, run the curl command like we did before. Yeah, just like before, now we are having a debug hit inside the balance services, our load balancer service using this remote debugging. Uh, so until now, I have covered all possible ways that you can debug Ballerina programs and how you can configure debugger settings. So in the next and last example, I will demonstrate how we represent Ballerina strands, call stacks, and variable in our debugger tool. So for that, I'll be going to the last example. Yeah, let me start the program first and explain. Here also, since it has just a main function, we can try using this Ballerina debug. Yeah, now we are having a debug it inside the main function. So before going forward, one important thing that I need to highlight here is that this as you can see, we are having a call stack as well as Ballerina debug Ballerina variable view in here. So the point would be this Ballerina call stack in the debugger is based on the Ballerina strand concept. Therefore, the debugger call stack you are seeing here is related to the active Ballerina strand. So in case if you are wondering about strand, so just to give you some brief idea about the relationship between Ballerina strands and threads, a Ballerina strand can be considered as a lightweight thread construct. So so there are basically two situations in which the Ballerina runtime creates a new strand apart from the default strand created when starting the program. So the first scenario would be to execute statement in a worker declaration. So in this particular method, this execution workers, I have implemented few workers, and the second scenario is to execute function or method within a start action. So in the second method call, as you can see, we are having to start action. So all these samples will be running asynchronously. So if I step into this program, now you can see that the call stack. Now we have previously we had just one stack frame, and now we had two because now we are inside method inside the main function. So the top call stack frame is related to the command line, and the bottom stack frame is related to the caller function location. Uh, so so if I go back to the debug point, and if I continue, as I have added breakpoints inside workers in here, continuing the program should hit a breakpoint inside either of these workers. As you can see that the work execution is started. Yeah. So now you can see that this call stack is somewhat different. So it, as we expected, it only contains uh, the call stack frames related to the strand. So in this, as I explained, for this worker two, the Ballerina runtime generates create a new strand. So this so when we're inside a particular worker, so the call stack will be starting from this worker creation point, and so we only have these two stack frames which related to the current version and the worker creation. So similarly, if I continue, so similarly we will have a similar situation for the start actions as well, because Ballerina runtime will create a new strand just to execute these functions inside. So let me go to this create variable method, which is in this the other file, the program. So yeah, now we are inside this yeah, now inside the create variable method, as you can see. So so you may have noticed that inside this variable window, which are having variables with scopes local and global, so you can see only the variables which are related to the selected stack frame. So when selecting a different stack frame, the variable we will be modified accordingly. So if you can see that now we are in the this inside this create variable method, and if we switch, if we select this previous the bottom stack frame, now we are inside this execute start action method, and you don't see this or that variables you had been seeing in this stack frame. so basically here in this method, I have created all the variable types which we can possibly define inside the Ballerina program, just to demonstrate how we represent Ballerina variables inside our debugger. So inside you will have you can see the child. You can access child variable elements for the compound Ballerina variable types in here. Uh, So apart from the variable view, you can get the value of any variable using this expression evaluation tool window we have. So uh, usually we have that window at the bottom of this debug console. So for example, I have this array variable. So I can try getting the array variable. Yeah. So in here as well, you will have a similar view compared to this this variable view, where you have access to all the child variables of that particular variable that we are trying to get. So uh, so talking about this view, so when a particular variable is having a large number of child variables, uh, you will see that the child variables are shown in a paging view. So as you can see for this int array, if we expand it, you can see that yeah, you can see it in here as well. If you expand it, it will show, it will be shown in the paging view. So uh, so actually we implemented this paging view to improve the debugger for performance when processing heavy data types such as arrays, JSON and XML. So you are able to get only a chunk of the child variables by expanding. So it's kind of a lazy loading view, and yeah, it's those are loaded only when you want to view the variable values. Uh, so talking back about this expression evaluation, apart from the variables, you can actually execute any kind of expressions in here. For example, you can get the type of the type of variable, yeah, that will be shown, and you can access the variable child variable by index. Sorry, it should be array variable. You can like that. You can try any kind of expression inside this using our expression evaluation inside the debugger. So please note that this expression evaluation is a preview feature, and we are still working on adding some adding support for some complex expression types like anonymous functions, left expressions, and square expressions. And also we are planning to extend this evaluation support to work on statements, so that you can do things like variable assignments as well. Um, I guess that's all about the Ballerina debugging features. So let me move back to the slide deck. Um, so basically, if you need any further clarification related to the debugger and its features, so you can visit our Ballerina website, and in there we have this debugging guide as a part of the Ballerina VS Code plugin guide. So sorry, as you can see, yeah. So this debugging guide has pretty much everything we discussed, and also. If you encounter any issues when using this feature, just feel free to create an issue in a Ballerinalang repository, so that we can improve the overall experience with your help. So thank you everyone who joined, and I think now it's time for the Q&A session. So I will hand it over to Sam. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Nipuna. So we do already have a couple of questions. I'm not sure if it's completely related to what we presented, but I'm just going to ask them out loud, and whoever on the team can answer. So this is a question from Sebastian. Does Ballerina support ACA style actors when is sequence diagrams back in Swan Lake? Is there someone who can answer that?
Hello, sir. Can you hear?
Yes. Hi, Joe.
Yes. So I can answer to the second question. So the sequence diagram, we are working on a new design, and currently we are planning to ship it parallel with the beta release of Onlay. So the VS Code plugin version parallel to that will include the new sequence diagram design.
Is there someone who can answer the first part of the question?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the exact features ACA supports, but yeah, so we don't have actors, but we have a notation where you can send information to workers. So each worker can send and receive information to other workers. But here each worker is inside the current working execution environment. It is not a separate execution environment that lives in a separate node or anything. So that's the closest thing we have to actor model. I'm not sure there's any plan to implement anything beyond that yet. Maybe something, some actor-like thing might come with our VPS kind of features we are kind of exploring, but we are not there yet.
Okay, great. Thanks, Manranga. Okay, we have another question from Christian asking if you have any videos on metrics, auditing, and observability. So I'm not sure if you have any videos as such, but if we can get some links to content, I'm sure we can send it on the chat. And maybe this is something we can look at for future community calls as well. Is there anybody else who wants to answer that question as well? Okay, cool. Anybody else who has any other questions?
So I have a question regarding the Ballerina shell. So the question is like, can we try out the services example with the Ballerina shell as well, rather than just trying out some basic things? Can we try out the services implementation?
Currently services are not supported as of yet, but they will be like the support will be added later. The support for running services.
Okay, is it like in the terminal itself, it's just showing the open port and something like that, right? Or still it haven't decided?
No. Currently, there is not yet decided on how to exactly do that, but currently services are not supported.
Okay.
So I have a quick one, not really related directly to the shell or the debugging. So I was trying to play with a little program that had like a folder within a module, but I was not able to get the bal file within that folder loaded. So is it something that we don't, Ballerina doesn't support, or maybe just something a mistake I made? Can we have folders, like nested folders within a module?
Maybe somebody on the
You can
team.
have sub modules actually.
Sorry. So folders within a module we had that support in Ballerina 1, 2x versions, but in Swan Lake versions, if you are within a Ballerina module, all the source files should be at the root directory of the module. So I guess we will share. There's a structuring your code guide, Ballerina IO Learn page. That's a good reference. Basically, how you structure the code. So maybe I guess the first step would be to create a Ballerina package, and then at the root directory of the package, you can put all your source files. But if you want more structure, or if you want to organize your code a little bit more, you can create other modules that should be inside the modules directory.
Okay, thank you.
I think Anjana shared. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we can take a few more questions if anybody has. Okay, I think we don't have anything else for now. So next month's community call is going to be postponed to the month after that. So we'll be having the next call in May. So if you do want to get notified of the call do fill in that form, and you'll be able to, and I'll make sure that you get added into the calendar invite. Yeah, and thank you to our speakers today and everyone who joined our call. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.